So Meta is making this absolutely colossal bet on AI. And we're not just talking about some new project. This is a move that's going to define its entire future. It's a fundamental pivot for the whole company. By 2026, Meta is literally betting its entire future on artificial intelligence. And let's be clear, we're not talking about, a new filter for Instagram. No, this is an existential, all-in gamble for the whole company. But why? Why make such a risky move? Well, to really get it, you gotta look at what just happened. Their last big AI attempt, the Llama 4 model family, this thing was supposed to be a total game changer. Instead, as one analyst perfectly put it, it landed with a thud. So what's the radical new plan? Really, how do you come back from a public failure that big and try to convince the world you can still win the AI race? That's exactly what we're going to break down right now. All right, Section 1, Meta's AI wake-up call, or as I like to call it, the failure of Llama 4. Because look, to understand where Meta is headed, you absolutely have to understand this spectacular flop that went down in 2025. Okay, so just look at the huge gap here between the hype and the reality. On the left, you've got the expectation. Llama 4 was pushed as this huge generational leap, a real competitor to GPT-5, with this incredible 10 million token context window. But the reality? Oh boy, it was super inefficient. That giant context window was basically vaporware. It couldn't even remember stuff, and the whole project got caught up in a pretty nasty benchmark scandal. So let's dig in. What specifically went wrong? Well, for starters, the architecture was just wildly inefficient. You had this massive 400 billion parameter model getting beaten by rivals that were less than a tenth of its size. That so-called context window, it would literally just forget information in long documents, which made it totally useless for enterprise customers. And then there was the benchmarking scandal. That's where they basically cheated the leaderboards with a specially tuned version. That just destroyed their credibility with the research community. A crisis like that forces a dramatic response. And that brings us to the superintelligence pivot. This is where we see a new lab and a totally new doctrine emerge. So in mid-2025, Zuck creates Meta Superintelligence Labs, or MSL for short. He pulled all the different AI teams into one single division and gave them one super aggressive mandate: build artificial general intelligence. And who did he get to lead it? Alexander Wang, the founder of Scale AI. Now, this wasn't just a new hire. This was a signal of a massive cultural and strategic shift for the whole company. And what happened next was this huge internal conflict, an ideological schism, really. On one side, you've got the new Wang doctrine: scale up and ship it out. Focus on generative AI that you can get into products right now. But on the other side, you've got the old guard, the LeCun legacy, folks like Chief AI Scientist Yang LeCun, who are all about world models and deep theoretical research to get to true understanding. This wasn't just a small disagreement, it's a fundamental battle over the soul of AI at Meta. Should it be about products now, or about pursuing deeper, long-term intelligence? And all of this leads to a really crucial shift. The era of Meta being the Linux of AI? Yeah, that's over. They're now keeping their most powerful models all to themselves, totally proprietary. And why the big change? Well, because open sourcing their last model basically handed a gift to Chinese labs, who just copied and improved on their work super fast. You combine that with all the regulatory pressure coming out of the EU, and suddenly that open source dream, it became a huge competitive liability. So, okay, the strategy has completely changed, but how are they actually going to build this thing? Let's dive into the incredible arsenal of tech Meta is putting together. We're talking models, silicon, and massive superclusters. First things first, let's talk about the money. Meta's capital expenditure budget for 2026 is $100 billion, a staggering amount. To put that into perspective, that budget for a single year is bigger than the annual science funding for many entire countries. It's an absolutely unprecedented financial commitment to a single technological goal. So where is all that cash going? Well, a massive chunk is for something called the Prometheus supercluster. This thing is designed to have a power capacity of 1 gigawatt. That's like 10 times the size of a normal data center. The energy demand is so insane that Meta's actually partnering with nuclear energy providers just to get enough juice to power it. Wow. And to make all that computing power as efficient as possible, they're not just buying chips, they're building their own. Their next-gen Artemis chip is supposed to have a 3 times performance boost over the last one.
And this isn't just about being faster. It's a really smart strategic move to get away from their super expensive dependency on NVIDIA.
Now, all this amazing hardware, it's going to train a whole new fleet of models. And you can forget about the general purpose Llama 4. The new strategy is all about specialization. So you have Avocado, which is a coding and reasoning specialist built to go head-to-head with OpenAI's best. Then there's Mango, a native multimodal engine for generating and understanding images and video. And finally, Llama 5. That's the big, long-term bet on AGI.
Okay, so we've got these giant superclusters and custom silicon. It all sounds pretty abstract, right? So how does all this crazy tech actually connect to your daily life? This is where AI starts to see your world.
So let's just ask the question directly. What does a 1 gigawatt nuclear-powered supercluster actually do for you? What's in it for us?
Well, for one thing, your Ray-Ban glasses are about to get a lot smarter. They'll be powered by that Mango model, so they'll have what's called multimodal context. Imagine this. You're looking at a beautiful sunset and you just say, play a song to go with my view, and it just gets it. It understands the mood. Or it could give you real-time audio coaching while you're on a run, or become your universal translator when you're traveling. This is ambient AI, and it's pretty cool.
And the Quest headset? It's actually splitting into 2 different devices to target different people. You're going to have the Quest 4, which is the high-end $800 flagship with all the bells and whistles like eye tracking for premium mixed reality. But then there's also the Quest Air. This one is super lightweight because it offloads the battery and the computer to a little external puck. That makes it perfect for just chilling, watching movies, or getting work done without all that neck fatigue. Now, all of this sounds pretty incredible, right? But it brings us right back to the central theme of this whole thing, the $100 billion question. This is Meta's colossal gamble.
And make no mistake, the risks here are absolutely immense. Financially, you're looking at a $100 billion plus bet. Technically, there's a giant question mark over whether they can even pull off a plan this complex. And geopolitically, they're getting hit with regulatory and competitive pressure from pretty much everywhere.
And let's get even more specific about the hurdles they're facing. That shift to closed source, it's causing a talent drain. Researchers who believe in open science are just leaving. They also have to somehow overcome the huge trust problem they created with the whole Llama 4 reliability crisis. And any delay in building that monster Prometheus supercluster could set them back years, especially with the intense competition from what's called Chinese sovereign AI. We're talking state-backed AI initiatives.
Which, leaves us with the ultimate question. Is Meta actually building the future of computing and artificial intelligence? Or are we just watching them build the world's most expensive failure? I guess only 2026 will tell.